Making level design is one of the most frustrating parts of game dev, and it's even worse when you don't know a thing about level design. But I found this really cool article online, and in this video I'll show how to get these tips, show the results, and show some other stuff I did for my game. The article comes from a website called Devlog, and the article is from 2011. I remade 3 levels in technically 1 week by following this article, and since I'm really bad at teaching, I really recommend you read it by yourself. I'll give the link to it at the end of this topic. By following the article's tips, I realized that the one-way platforms I mentioned in my last devlog were completely useless since I literally didn't implement them, excluding this section, which was already made before following the tips. But they were still useful at the tutorial level. Wait, so that means I implemented them. And it's lost. Another thing was that I realized that I could add more stuff to the levels, since that way I could add more variety and more sections to the level, and that's the only new thing I added to the level. By the way, now that I finished the vlogging about level design, you can find the link to the level design article in the video description. Moving on to other parts of this devlog, there was this really useful video from GMTK I watched. And now I literally have almost the entire sketch of my game on paper, and I could finally definitely work on my game. Let's see how much stuff I can make in 2024. Another thing I did was simplify my game with inheritance. Now bosses are made out of a base boss scene and script, and they are completely reworked. The game's 6 main bosses will be divided into phases. Each phase will contain different attacks variations and will be much more difficult. One thing I had to do to balance the bosses was to nerf the player's shield mechanic. Now the blob projectiles will start falling after some time. I made this change so I could force the player to stay closer to the boss in order to hit him. Otherwise, the player could keep camping the corner and hit the boss at any moment. By the way, the only boss for now that isn't an inheritance is the tutorial boss. The reason why is because it's too different compared to the fire dog boss. While a boss like him would need to be hit with the blob projectiles, the tutorial boss requires the player to jump and hit the jail. I also turned most of the game's collectibles into inheritance, and I plan to do this for all of them since they most likely act the same way, aesthetically. I also removed the lag screen for and collect the cube and made the lives part of the character scene, not the global script. Now you can't keep collecting lives anymore. Since we're talking about collectibles, let's talk about the HUD. I changed the game's HP bar. That's it. Okay, now I need to interrupt everything to explain that I decided to add translations. Now my game is both in English and in Portuguese. I learned how to add them, and now I'm having a lot of fun creating those translations. And the Portuguese translation is way funnier than the English one. And the last thing I wanted to show here is that I changed the way I add achievements to the game. Now all of the achievements boolean variables are part of a dictionary. And the reason I did this is so I could easily implement a platinum achievement later in the game. If you know programming, I'm pretty sure you can understand how I did the platinum check. What is interesting about this new code is that if I wanted, I could easily add I got achievement notification, and that's basically it. Fine, now I just polished my game with music for the millionth time. You don't want to miss my following devlogs, so hit that subscribe and like button. While don't publish then, why not take a look at my other content? I really recommend you start here since the most polished devlog I've done for now. Later you can check my other videos. Now see ya!